Question is it worth $1,000? And then the second question is, did it actually make me go faster? First of all, I want to say Garmin did not give me this device. This is not a paid product placement or anything like that. I actually borrowed this from a friend and he hadn't even used it yet. So I actually got to do the unboxing and use it for the first time, which was really nice of him. All right, so here it is. This is the box that comes in. Garmin Catalyst, the new hotness that everybody's talking about. Anyways, pretty nicely packaged. All right, so let's take a look at what's inside. Ooh, nice. All right, so here we've got the Catalyst itself, the actual unit, that little sticky thing on it there. All right, there we go. We've got, this is the camera. Very nicely packaged. Got a sweet sticker. Slap that right on your car so people know that you're fast. Instructions. Oh, and lots of wires and cables and doodads. Let's power cable here, USB connector. Yep, some additional power and part of the looks like it's part of the mounting hardware here. Yeah, that looks like part of the mounting hardware. Some other power cables, got some, actually pretty nice package. Oh good, yeah. Cigarette lighter adapter, perfect, gonna definitely need that. Oh, USB power cable, so that obviously is gonna go with that. This goes, I think, with the mounts. I think this goes, you know, inside one of these, so you have like a little ball pivot in there to be able to adjust the mounts. Clearly this is the, so we got the one big suction cup mount here, and then we've got this, which clearly is going to go on the back here. Oh, and it's magnetized, so that's cool. Wow, it's pretty strong magnet too, so that's great. Yeah, so pretty well equipped setup here. Seems pretty nice. Let's take a look a little bit more at the Garmin itself and see how that looks. So it's got a nice rubberized coating. It feels like it would generally be pretty durable with this rubberized coating and stuff. I mean, it feels like it's made to be sort of, I doubt it's weatherproof or anything, but it feels pretty rugged, which is nice. We got power button, got USB, headphones, and micro SD card slot. And then looks like we've got volume up down here. This is obviously an interface that it can get power from. Looks like it's got either a speaker or a fan right here. Cool. All right, well, let's power it on and see what it looks like. Yeah, a little bit better. Anyway, welcome to Garmin. End user agreement. All right, so there's a bunch of, pick a Wi-Fi connection. All right, we're connected. We can pair a headset to hear instructions over the headset. Now, this is interesting because actually the only headsets that I have that are Bluetooth are like the big earmuff kind of headsets, which are obviously not going to work in my helmet. So I'm actually going to use wired earbuds when I do this. So I actually do not have a headset to pair. The other thing that you can do, I'm told, is you can actually pair this with the stereo in your car. But because most of the track days make you drive with the windows down, apparently you have to turn up the volume so loud to be able to hear it that it's actually kind of annoying. So I'm going to try to go with the plug-in headphones. All right, mount this device, plug it into a power outlet in your vehicle. Not in your car, you can skip this step later. All right, let's go ahead and and do it. But they actually show the bracket with both the both of these little pieces in there. I guess if you are gonna have this if it's really far away from your windshield. The Lotus is tiny though, so I think I'm just gonna go with this simple setup just with one. All right, so you can see my setup here, pretty simple. The car is so tiny that I can reach over to the passenger seat from the driver's seat without a problem. It's actually pretty funny. The one thing that I noticed was that the power actually on this little part here, this outlet is a very old school USB thing, and then there's this USB thing, because the power cable is this type of a connector, which matches this and plugs in straight there. So I'm not sure how that works. I'll have to read the instructions there. All right, so as you can see, the install is super simple. Literally anyone could set this up. You stick the suction cup on, you plug the power into your cigarette lighter just like you would any other, phone cord or anything like that, and you are basically done. So if you can't figure that out, you've got other issues besides your driving. Okay, so I did actually kind of screw that up, because you don't want to, you do need to plug in the USB power to the side of this big square thing, because what you need to do then is actually also, so that powers this, but it also is the interface. There's another USB port here on the side, and that's where you have to plug the camera into on that USB port. So that makes sense, because it's got to match the camera to your lap times, to all that data. So maybe I am an idiot. Maybe I did screw this up, but I fixed it now. And so I just use this other cable to go into that USB port, and then we'll put the camera up here. So here's the little camera that they give you. Comes with a little stick-on thing, and they recommend putting it right behind the mirror up there. So I'm gonna do that. I like to see myself when I'm driving, to see any kind of corrections and what I'm doing with my hands and my feet. But I think for this case, they're saying make sure it has a clear view of the road. So I'm gonna do it just up on the windshield. And this is not a suction cup. So this is going to be a little bit more permanently mounted with this double stick tape. They give you a long cable, but since again the Lotus is so small, I'm just going to use this small cable for the camera. Parked and with the camera mounted, rotate the camera till the level turns green. Center the camera with the center line of the car's hood. All right, what's up? Today I'm at Laguna Seca, and I'm gonna test out the new Garmin Catalyst. And the real question on my mind here is, will it actually improve my lap times? Now, I'm not super fast around Laguna. I think my best lap is about a 151. And I would say on an average day, I run kind of in the 154, 155 range. So if it improves beyond that, I will certainly be impressed. All right, so you can see I've got it set up in my car here. I've got the camera mounted up here. And we are pretty much good to go. All right, so let's go try this thing out. All right, so you can see I've done 2 sessions now, and you can see sort of the data that it's giving me. And one of the cool things is this opportunities button here, which prioritizes where you could actually be doing a little bit better. And so this is breaking into turn 2. And you can see sort of my line, the optimal line, and the average line, average times and stuff. And then there's different tabs across here, so you can see braking, and it says you achieved your fastest time when you braked later by 10 feet and harder by 4%. This is a pretty hard braking zone. So, and then you can enable this race coach thing, which will coach you during your next session to give you some tips on that. As far as the apex goes, it'll show you, you achieved your fastest time when you turned in later and apexed earlier. And then it's got a speed tab here too. And on the speed, it sort of gives you a comparison of what your speed should be like when you're accelerating, decelerating there. Yeah, so pretty helpful, and you can enable all these race coach things, and then it will tell you audibly during your next session what you're doing, or what you should be doing. So you can scroll through that, and then you can see your other opportunities here, opportunity 2, and then same sort of thing where it's got a section on braking, section on apex, and a section on speed. So this is my second opportunity, is actually turn 12, which is the last turn onto the front straight, and I am way over slowing there. I think it'll show that in the speed thing here. Yeah, so I'm massively over slowing, and then I'm not carrying as much speed down the front straight, which cost me a lot of time. So I could save 1/4 of a second, 0.25 seconds it's saying there. Okay, take 2 with the box actually right side up now. God, I'm an idiot. All right, hey, what's up? So I just got back from Laguna Seca, and I wanted to do a little recap on my thoughts of what it was like to use the Garmin Catalyst at the track for the first time. Now, I have to say, the big question on my mind is this thing worth $1,000? I think that's about what it costs retail. And then the second question is, did it actually make me go faster? And so on the first point, if you are looking for something that is simple, easy to set up, plug and play, really a no-brainer, and you don't have to mess around with different settings and syncing stuff to different various apps and things like that, it definitely meets the bill there. It is very simple to use, easy to set up, really no hassle and no problems whatsoever. I feel like when I use some of the various lap timer apps on my phone, I always encounter weird problems with them and have to troubleshoot it kind of at the track, and it just gets annoying. Yes, it's definitely simple to set up. It is plug and play. You just press drive once you get it mounted in the car and you are good to go. All right, so the second very important question here is, did it actually help me go faster? And I have to say, maybe. I think it might have. So one of the things that, and the way that I'm qualifying that is that it gives you, after you've done a few laps, it gives you a predicted or hypothetical optimal lap. And basically the way it does that is it looks at your segments and then stitches together all your best ones. So let's say you're doing great on turn 1, but you kind of blow turn 2. And you're doing all right on turn 3, but you're not so great at turn 4. It's different on different laps. Maybe on one lap you're great at turn 3 and you're not so great at turn 3, and then you do well on turn 4. So it stitches all those together as an optimal lap. And so the thing about the optimal lap is that it is your optimal lap. It is not the car's optimal lap with a pro driver or anything like that. It is just you on that day with those tires in those conditions. This is what you could do because you have already demonstrated that you could do each of those segments at those time intervals individually, and it's just stitching those together. And so throughout the course of the day, I actually got within 0.5 seconds of my optimal lap. So I think I actually did better, and I think I was a little bit more consistent throughout the day too than I normally am. But my optimal lap, we'll look at it in a minute on the actual device, but I think my optimal lap was around a 153.5 or 0.7 or something. And the best lap that I had was a 154.3. So I think I got within about 0.5, 0.6 seconds of my optimal lap. And so I do actually feel pretty good about that. But like I said, it is, again, it is my optimal lap for that day. And obviously the optimal lap, as you get better, does continue to lower, the time does continue to lower. So, as you start to figure out one corner really well, and let's say you shave off a bunch of time, half a second or a second or whatever, then it incorporates that, feeds it back into your optimal lap, and then your optimal lap time is actually lower because you got some time on that one particular segment and gained, made an improvement there. So it is like a constant evolution of your lap times. It's not comparing you to what the car theoretically can do. I know that an extremely well-driven stock-ish Lotus Elise could do laps around Laguna Seca in 145, 146 seconds with a really great driver. Now, that's not me. I'm not a really great driver, but that's sort of the hypothetical what this car should be capable of doing, but that's not what the Garmin's going to tell you. The Garmin's going to tell you what you are hypothetically capable of doing. So I kind of like that. The other thing that is really great about the Garmin that I liked was the in-ear audible coaching. You don't have to look at the screen at all while you're driving. I mean, it'll flash up your lap times if you want to see that, but it also reads them out to you over your headphones. And I just used wired headphones, and it was super simple to run a long wire from or a long cable from the Garmin into my helmet. And the audio prompts were really, really helpful because they do serve as like a good reminder as you are going around the track. It'll tell you to brake a little later or brake a little lighter, turn in later, apex earlier. These reminders come up, and even though you know that you're supposed to be doing that because you've reviewed your footage or your data, it's good to have the audio cues reminding you to do it, because it's just easy to forget when you're in the moment on the track and be like, oh, what was I supposed to do on this corner? What was I really working on and trying to get better at here? And so the audio cues are super helpful for reminding you what you should be doing to try to improve your lap times. And it also gives you over the headphones some positive encouragement as you do things well. It'll say great apex or new best or above average, so that you actually know segment by segment how well you're doing and if you are improving on your lap time. So I thought that was really good, made me feel really good. Don't worry, it never tells you, oh, you totally sucked at that, you blew that corner. It never tells you any of that. It just won't say anything if you're not doing well. But having those little prompts saying, immediately in the moment where it says great apex, then I got to do that again next lap. I did that well this time. And you don't have to be guessing, oh, was that good? And then go back and look at your lap times or whatever. It tells you in the moment that you did it well, so you know what it feels like to do it well. Okay, so here's the device, and if we want to review some of the data from yesterday, we can take a look at that. You can just go into review here. You can get your last session. Is always kind of a quick link up here at the top just to see the very most recent session. And you can see that that's actually when I had my best lap, which was the 154.39, 154.39. And you can see my optimal lap. I think the optimal lap is actually for the whole day is a 153.47. So I guess I was about a second slower than my optimal lap. But that's just that session. You can also go in and see all your laps for all your sessions here. 42 laps over 7 sessions, what I ran. And you can go in and see them and look one by one. So that is pretty cool. And the other neat thing that I really liked was you can go in, so these are broken down by session here. You can go in and look at particular things, and what it gives you is these opportunities. And it prioritizes these opportunities by the amount of time that you can save if you actually get better at this section. So this is so this section here is braking into turn 2 at Laguna Seca, and you can see that the optimal line is actually 115 feet longer than the average line that I'm taking. So I was taking this as a double apex, which is how I used to do it in the Lotus. And it's saying that the optimal line is actually probably a later apex and doing a single apex. So you can get into the specifics of this. You can obviously view the segment here. And if you want to watch the video, you can go in and do that. But let's see. Within the opportunity, you've got these tabs across the top, and those are really critical for figuring out what you want to do. So braking, it'll tell you, all right, you achieved your fastest time when you braked later by 23 feet and for a shorter duration by about 0.35 seconds. And it also gives you your G-forces here on the side so that you know how much you're braking. And then what you can do is click this button to add it to the race coach. So then on your next session out, it's going to tell you and give you audio prompts about the braking part of this. And it seems like once you add an opportunity to the race coach, it adds braking, apex, and speed all automatically. So then this is the apex, and it talks a lot about the speed. This is really about both actually doing the right turn-in point and apexing at the right point, but also maintaining your corner speed. And then speed here actually is a further breakdown, I guess, on speed. But you can see all your opportunities, and it gives you, again, always compares the optimal to kind of your average, what you've been doing. So you can scroll through your opportunities, see other opportunities. This is turn 11 at Laguna Seca, which is really sharp left-hander onto the front straight. So as you know, going onto a front straight or a long straight, your corner speed and the exit speed out of that corner matter a ton, because you're going to carry that all the way down. So, if you're 1 or 2 miles per hour faster coming out of this corner, at the end of the straight, that can translate into 10 or 15 miles per hour faster overall. And so you really want to get that right. And I was slowing down way too much for that corner. And then also for these different things, you can obviously, when you go into the view segment and do a little bit more specifics, again, it gives you your optimal time and your average. You can always go into the video too and actually see that particular segment. It breaks up your videos into those segments so you can see exactly what you're doing, right or wrong. There, I'm not using all the track. There's a bunch of track past the curbing there that I could be using. That would allow me to carry more speed. And then going down this front straight, it would actually translate into more speed down the front straight and into the next corner. Yeah, one of the things that is really cool about the Garmin Catalyst is basically with all the other apps that give you data about your laps, you have to go in and actually look at the lap times and look at the data and sort of do the mental comparison to see what's working well. And I think part of the secret sauce of this thing is that it actually does all that for you. So it gives you that optimal best lap time and compares things to that. And I think that actually is really helpful, because sifting through the data, sometimes it can just be overwhelming. So they do a lot of the hard work of the comparison for you. Now, yes, you could do that with the other apps that are out there, but it's a little bit more work on your part. And back to the idea of this being very simple, very plug and play, even the analysis part is pretty plug and play. You don't have to do a lot of your own, figuring out or comparing to like an optimal lap time. It does that for you and tells you what you're doing well. And then the other cool thing is the prioritized opportunities, where it really tells you, hey, you need to work on this particular corner. You need to work on this particular segment. That's very helpful as well. So $1,000 for the Garmin Catalyst certainly is a lot of money. But I think that it actually is, if you appreciate the simplicity and you want to work on becoming a better driver, I'm confident that over time it is going to improve your driving and help you turn quicker lap times. All right, so final conclusion, I would say yes, give the Garmin Catalyst a try. Go out and buy one. I'll include a link in the video description down below. It's a really solid, sweet piece of device. The one thing that I will say though is that, so it's interesting, when you go into the settings on the device, it's clearly all built on Android. And the one weird thing is, I feel like this could be an app. Garmin could release this as an app on your Android phone. Your phone has a camera, your phone has a GPS, albeit a slower version of the GPS than what's in here, but you can always get an external GPS for your phone that would take care of that. And I don't see, the coaching stuff is really the magic, the secret sauce in this thing, and giving those audio cues. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the other lap timer apps like Harry's Lap Timer, Race Chrono, Track Addict, some of these other ones. It'll be interesting to see if they incorporate coaching in the future to give those audio cues, because I really think that they could do it, and you'd have something pretty similar to this that actually would be pretty good. Because like I said, everything that's on this device could be run on your phone if Garmin were to release it as an app. You just need a faster You just need a faster GPS update rate really for your phone. There's probably some other trick hardware in here, like the accelerometer is probably a lot nicer than what you get in your phone. But overall, it would be cool to see it as an app that you could just download rather than have to pay $1,000. But at the moment, I think even though it's a lot of money, it actually is a pretty useful tool that will improve your driving. All right, so just to make sure this is a balanced review, were there any downsides to this? And yes, there were a couple. First of all, you can't easily export a video to share online, especially with the data overlaid on it. Yes, you can get a plain vanilla MP4 video file very easily from the device. You can just plug it in and copy it over to your computer, but it looks just like what you see here and doesn't actually include the data overlay. So to add the data, you still actually have to go to the Garmin Connect website, download the data, then sync it up to the video using this Garmin VIRB software. So this is basically a similar process if you're already using other lap timers and you want a video with data that you can upload to, say, YouTube. So I have to say, it doesn't really solve for this particular use case any better than anything else out there. Maybe Garmin will add this feature, being able to export the video with data in the future. Second, and maybe I should have caught this during my initial setup, but it seems like I must not have had a very good GPS lock because some of my position data seems really far off. There are segments showing me nowhere near the apex and in fact hugging the outside edge of the track, which I for sure didn't do. So this has to be some sort of data error. This was most noticeable on my racing line, but it kind of makes me question some of the other data too and whether that was recorded accurately or not. I kind of wish there would have been some sort of big warning to tell me that the GPS didn't have a good signal, and maybe there was and I just didn't notice it being the first time that I was using this device. I also had a small issue where there was missing videos, so I don't know if the connection to the camera was just bad or again might have been user error. So aside from those two things, it really is a great overall package. But if you want to share videos to YouTube and impress all your friends, you might want to wait until that feature is actually built into the device.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell so you can get notified when we post a new video.